Welcome to MELfeed.video. We are commencing a live web stream service via youtube.com from Echuca, Australia. We currently conduct these streams on Monday evenings, with other times to be added as more opportunities arise. Please visit our website MELfeed.video for further information. This web video project presents old and new community TV programs. Please enjoy your stay with MELfeed.video.
This repeat episode of NAT Chat Migration Stories is presented as a tribute to its host, Richard McAuliffe, who sadly passed away this last year.
Welcome to Migration Stories, and we are produced by Northern Access TV. It's a series part of NAT Chat, and today I'm very happy to have with me Omar Perez, who migrated here from Pakistan.
Pakistan, yes.
And he will also be playing some musical instruments and some fantastic music. We'll come across to that a little bit later in the program.
Thanks for that.
But it really is your passion, isn't it, music?
Yes, it is. Yes, I've been playing for a long time. Started playing pretty much in high school.
Right.
And started forming bands. This is early on when, you know, the situation in Pakistan was changing slowly. And
yes.
Started having more music, more art-related activities. It wasn't like that always.
Well, you're young, so that's not that long ago.
Yeah, not that long ago, yeah. It isn't.
And I've heard that there's actually hard rock and, you know, hard rock and heavy metal bands in Pakistan.
You wouldn't believe it.
Really?
You wouldn't believe it. There's some friends of mine, they've got a band called Kayas. I really enjoy their music, and they won Asian category awards, like the best rock band in Asia. And yeah, they've gone to India. They've performed. Yeah, they're from Pakistan. They're from my city. They're from Islamabad. One of the guys, the founder, the guitar player, is my schoolmate from. I mean, we started together pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, he taught me a few things, and then we were like we were learning off each other because we didn't have any music schools in Pakistan.
Well, we'll come to the music, and well, we're going to come to actually some live music on this show, so absolutely stick around. But yes, it was very different in Pakistan earlier. So what was it like as a youngster there growing up? What was happening around you?
The sad bit is, like, now that you know about it when you're outside of the country, and also when you grow up and you see a change and then you realize that this wasn't the way it was before. I was born in the General Zia era, which is a dictatorship, and General Zia was supporting the Afghan war, and there was a lot of, they called it Islamization, making all the laws and all the rules and regulations according to the Sharia, but it was just actually, and everybody agrees on it basically now pretty much, is that it was just him trying to justify his dictatorship. So he was empowering himself using the pseudo or false pretext of Islam, and yeah, we've been seeing the consequences of that in the past few years. It's what happens is once you provide that sort of cover for a lot of groups.
He brought out a more even, forceful regime.
Exactly. He was kind of
using the religion to bring out something a little bit more sinister then, perhaps.
And that sinister mentality is something we haven't been able to get rid of till now. I mean, we're a democracy. We've transitioned from democracy to democracy now.
Yes.
But just the fact that you're electing a parliament and doing democracy and that sort of practice doesn't get rid of all the problems that are created by a long dictatorship. And
absolutely, yes.
That mentality is still there. Yep. That supremacy of your belief system and imposing it on other people is still there. And
it happened at all levels, like the local council sort of area and the sort of
Yes.
You know, in the military and
the hand-picked people were appointed to all these bodies.
Yes.
So that makes it easy for a dictator to work. So that mindset is something that the governments that are democratically elected, they also end up following now. It just makes it convenient for them to keep their man on, the tax watch or something.
Indeed.
They're not going to catch anybody.
Indeed.
So that affected the arts really badly, coming back to music and the arts.
Did it?
Yeah, because once you don't have people who are actually, they don't...
Free enough to express themselves.
And also people who are not really related to that field. They're coming out and they're heading departments that are art or music related. They can't really nurture new artists, can they? Because they don't know anything about it.
Well, getting back to that, you were in a family, you had your family there in Pakistan.
Yeah.
When did you start thinking, or did your father or parents start thinking about migrating to Australia?
Yeah, because we were never into, a lot of people, my class fellows and people who were graduating with me in Pakistan after studies, they were thinking of moving to, immigrating to Canada, US, UK, or Australia.
One of those countries.
One of those developing, really well-developed countries with lots of opportunities. I was never one of them. I was working in the media area and multimedia as well. I was working with a channel, one of the biggest channels in Pakistan, news channel. And I was also doing a lot of multimedia work from my past experience, which is websites, graphics, digital graphics and that sort of stuff. It was later. I mean, we just had applied out of, let's just apply. There's a couple of people who were applying.
You wanted something and you thought
you'd
apply.
We thought it would be a good idea to have an option, sort of, literally. It was like, let's have an option of...
So what happened then? But you were successful and...
We got it was a pretty smooth process for us, and we got the whole immigration thing cleared out pretty quickly. Minor hitch, because I'd moved jobs. I was, the investigation kind of found... Somebody told them that, I haven't worked at a place that I'd mentioned as my work experience.
Oh, I see.
Because I'd moved from there, and the people who were there now didn't know me.
Well,
that was a minor hitch, but I cleared it out, and, the authorities were really nice. It was just a few emails, and that was good enough. And then I was like, we visited Sydney, we went back, and then an incident happened that I think I told you about it on the phone as well.
What incident?
Nothing had happened that had kind of caused us to, as I told you before, think of moving overseas permanently or definitely making that decision. My son got kidnapped.
Oh my goodness!
He was taken for 5 days for ransom.
Yes, that's terrible.
And
unbelievable.
Yeah, and that was a very scary. I mean, that's like one of those parts of my life. And my family, my wife, and everybody else, the extended family as well, that we kind of blocked out.
Yes.
It's that painful.
Look, we'll have to come back after the break and find out how you resolved that terrible situation. Thank you. Please come back after the break and find out a bit more from Omar about his amazing story.
Which one are you going to get? This lady? Boy. Oh, you can't. Just a minute. Okay. Right.
Just needs a bit of discipline. Can I help you with your bags?
Thank you.
Autism. Change your reactions, change your actions.
We want to show you what's dangerous about this river, but we can't. That's the problem. You can't see ice-cold water, snags like tree branches or strong currents. So in enjoying our rivers, remember, wear a life jacket, avoid alcohol around water, never swim alone, and learn how to save a life. Our rivers are beautiful, but more Australians drown here than anywhere else. It's simple. Respect the river. Head to royallifesaving.com.au/respect the river for more information.
The tax office can take money directly out of people's accounts, but you're not allowed to know. The elderly are being abused and neglected in nursing homes, but you're not allowed to know. The government can raid journalists for reporting the truth if it says you're not allowed to know. It couldn't happen in Australia. It's happening now. When the government hides the truth from you, what are they covering up? Authorised by Australia's Right to Know, Sydney.
Northern Access Television will turn 30 in 2020. We are planning a celebration night with a book and a special TV show about our history. If you're a past member or a volunteer of NAT, we would love to hear from you. For more details, visit the website nat30years.info and find out how you can help celebrate 30 years of media for the community. The 30th anniversary of Northern Access Television. Let's celebrate in 2020.
Welcome back to Migration Stories. I'm here with Omar, and your son was kidnapped in Lahore, which is actually quite a peaceful town.
Yes, it is, and it's been like that. It's actually the arts and culture sort of hub of Pakistan.
And was this maybe
town.
because you're seen as a sort of a better off, educated and, you know, employed and wealthy person, or why would this have happened?
It was really strange because kidnapping for ransom has increased since we moved here, and it has increased dramatically in some of the safer towns as well. But it wasn't as common at that time.
No.
But you know, we were unlucky.
You were. So how did it resolve? I had to go out and, you know, kind of follow. Negotiate,
negotiate,
do your own
and
investigation.
They had to call,
really?
They would call and they would set up a time to meet, and I had to go every night, almost non-stop for 5 nights.
And were you petrified to inform the police, or?
We got the police involved.
Yeah,
because one of our neighbors was a police.
This is terrible.
It took 5 days to resolve, and they would call, and I mean, it was like a movie, literally.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, getting calls and then following their leads, and then them telling us no, go back or something.
Right,
and
I see. Mind games.
Yeah, it was
terrorizing.
It was pretty traumatic.
So eventually, you had to hand over some money and
we paid them a big amount and
I'm so sorry that happened to you. That's terrible.
Yeah, it was a pretty dark sort of time.
I guess you're pretty keen to come to Australia after that.
Yeah, we were like, okay, we've got immigration, we've got bad, you know, security situation in Pakistan. It's happened to us. It's hit home.
Yes.
You know, when it's happening around you,
wow.
Maybe it doesn't hit home that much. You know, when other people are getting affected, when it's your family, when your kid is affected by it, you don't want to put up with it anymore. So
you came to Melbourne.
Yes, we moved very quickly to Melbourne. Yeah.
And so, just very quickly, well, what happened then? You know, you employed, or you went to study, or you brought your family over? You had your whole family over?
Actually, my wife and my kids moved before me because I was still under a contract. I was working at the television channel I mentioned. Yeah. Then I joined them later and started looking for work, teaching at one of the institutes. Yeah, and
excellent.
Yeah, that sort of stuff, and trying to find
my way around. So hopefully everything's pretty beautiful now, and you have new aspirations now to develop your musical career.
Look, it's been amazing. It's been a bit of a struggle early on when you lose your whole network of people. Even if it's a country where that doesn't really encourage arts and music, you end up developing a following there. And when I moved to Australia, I felt that I'd completely cut myself off from the people that knew I played music or would come to my gigs or stuff like that. And then I had to work my way up slowly. Started with, I was like, where do we go? I was like, let's go busk in the city. So I got a busker's permit, and I'm doing a music video that's actually kind of a story about my experience of learning the ropes around Melbourne. Music-wise. I mean, there's other stuff as well, but yeah, that's something I'm doing.
Now, which instruments do you play? Because, well, I see 3 or 4 types of instruments here. What's this here then?
the percussion. Okay, this is a really cool instrument. I like it a lot. It's a clay pot, and it's called a ghada. It's a ethnic Pakistani instrument from the obviously rural areas, because it's used to carry water as well. You can see it's hollow.
Beautiful.
And also, when you're done with the water, you can.
Oh wow! I've heard that on Indian music.
Yeah,
and Pakistani music.
And then you can, it's from the rural areas. Goes into Rajasthan on the Indian side, I think, the province Rajasthan or the state. And this top is the bass, and the sides of the treble. So,
excellent.
Yeah, water as well as percussion. So you got multi-purpose.
And you also have a traditional instrument, stringed instrument.
Yes, all these instruments are instruments I'm essentially learning to play.
Yes.
But this one is a beauty. I love it. It's called the rabab. The rabab is a folk instrument from the northwestern or KP or the troubled area, as the world would know it, Pakistan.
I see. Okay,
it's close to Afghanistan, And this is an instrument from Afghanistan as well, but it reaches out all the way to the Punjab and into the Indian Punjab as well.
And these are resonant strings here?
Yeah, they heaps of strings here. They're about, I think, 12. And they tune to all the notes of the scale, all the chromatic notes. And then whichever note you play, there's a string to ring with it. So, it's really big, resonant.
Yeah.
Huge hollow chamber here.
I see.
So, so it's like...
And is that got a pickup on it too?
Yeah, that's me.
You're experimenting all the time.
I modified it. First of all, when I was getting it, when I was in Pakistan about a couple of years back, there's a friend called Farhan Bogra. He's kind of brought the rabab back into Pakistani mainstream music. He's played a few fusion tunes with mainstream bands, and he's got a very good ethnic fusion band as well. And so he was kind of an inspiration. And my friend Taimur, who's a very good sarangi player, another folk classical actually instrument.
So what's your aspiration with music now? You want to put out records and videos?
I just want to do the circuit, man. I want to do everything. I want to put out music, I want to do gigs, I want to play with people, find musicians to play with, and release music, do videos.
So much to find out, but we've got to go to a break now, and then after the break we'll be enjoying some contemporary music from Oman.
You're there when they can't sleep. You're there when they forget. But who's there when they're at school? Asthma can be serious. It affects 1 in 10 Australians and claims 400 lives each year. Does anyone at your school know what to do in an asthma emergency? Log on to asthmafriendlyschools.org.au and find out if your school is asthma friendly. Shouldn't every school be asthma friendly?
Locals here made the shocking discovery this morning. Police have sealed off the entire beach.
There is a killer. One of the worst killers in Australia. Skin cancer. Every year, skin cancer kills over 1,700 Australians. Don't be a victim. This summer, protect yourself against skin cancer.
Hi, I'm Lane Beachley. Australians have recycled enough printer cartridges to cover Bondi Beach 12 times. That's kept 11,000 tonnes of valuable resources out of landfill. Drop your used original cartridges into the special boxes at participating retail outlets, and they'll be turned into new products, from pens to road surfaces. Help us keep up the good work. Find out more at cartridges.planetark.org.
Tick, 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 fashion.
Tick, 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 fun.
Tick, 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 food.
Tick, 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 festivals.
All make up 15 fabulous minutes.
In a half-hour special.
Presented to you by Jacqueline and Steve.
Every week. Time's up.
Welcome back. Well, we're happy here now because Omar's got his son back and his family, and they're in Australia, in Melbourne.
Right, yeah.
So we're into the music and electric guitar.
Yeah, that's my main instrument.
Indeed.
I'm learning the folk instruments as well.
Yes.
I play a few traditional scales. I've been always wanting to learn them.
Very interesting they are. Yes.
But this rock and roll guitar is my main instrument.
Well, you can cross over, but you have used traditional instrument in a kind of a recorded with a looping sort of machine here.
Yes.
With pedal.
Like the percussion instrument, the gada, and some other hand drums I've used to loop some music that I'm going to play over. I'm going to play guitar over those looped tracks that I've created at home.
Sounds very fresh and original.
So I'm going to do that, and this is well, just a folk song, folk melody from Pakistan, which I've kind of funked up with some riffs and stuff. So hope you guys enjoy it. That's the beat. चंगी हाँ साहिब तेरी बंदी हाँ लोक जनन दीवानी लोक जनन दीवानी मैं रंग साया यार दी गडोली भर मैं यार दी गडोली भर दी मैं दी गडोली भर दी मैं यार दी गडोली एक अला कोलों मैं डर दी एक मौला कोलों मैं डर दी हाँ मैं यार दी गडोली भर दी सोने यार दी गडोली आहा आहा मैं यार दी गडोली भर दी.
Wow, that is a different, fresh sound.
Cool, thanks. I'm glad you like it.
And you can build that up into performances. And so, how do people find your music? Or
I'm working on this track. There's a few tracks that are finished. There's it's all a multilingual compilation. It's some of them are in English. This one is Punjabi.
Yes.
There's another Punjabi folk tune as well that I've covered. I mean, this is covering it or writing a new arrangement for it, basically.
Gotcha.
There's some totally original stuff as well, which I write lyrics for and I compose myself.
Can you imagine doing this, anywhere else other than here in Melbourne? Are we one of the best towns to do this?
I love doing it in Melbourne. I play with all these musicians that I different ethnicities that I never met anywhere else. I play with a Turkish Kurd musician. I play with a Lebanese percussion player.
Man.
I play with an Indian bansuri player now, and it's like a dream scenario for me. World music and rock and roll together. What more can you ask for?
Brilliant. Now, how's your family going in Melbourne, and is everyone, engaged in school and finding work, and you're living in the northern suburbs?
Yes, we are, and the kids are going to school. They love it. They're happy.
So, what thoughts do you have of Pakistan now when you think about it?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's my home country. I can't.
Yeah. It stays in there,
it's
in
there,
your heart,
yeah.
of
I have
course,
a really
but-
warm feeling about it. I'm saddened by the situation that it's in now.
But hopeful for better
hopeful for
things
a better
in the future.
I hope
Wouldn't it
that
be great to go back and rock them out with this stuff?
Yeah, I want to someday. I'm going to start a crowdfunding campaign to finish my music off.
Yes.
And maybe tour Pakistan.
Wow.
The idea is to reclaim Pakistan from the bad things. Yeah.
Having recharged your batteries here.
Go back and get the ownership of the land.
Omar, you've been here a while now, and what are your hopes and aspirations for Australia, culturally, perhaps even, musically, or, can you see Australia's role in the world being greater?
Look, Australia's got a great multicultural mix happening.
That is a strength, isn't it?
It is a huge strength. I think people don't even, right now, people need to step out of their own community blocks that our community's created, that hierarchical block within itself as well, and they don't come out of it, which is, I don't think that's fair to Australia, because you're in Australia, you should take your art and your music and your ethnicity and take it to everybody.
Be proud and show it to everybody.
Share it with everybody.
Yeah,
that's why I play
all
with
the
the
multi-ethnicity too.
Yeah, play it with everybody and share it with everybody, and that's what's going to make Australia more beautiful. So,
Omar, thank you very much for coming in today. We're going to have a little bit more of your music, but I'm going to sign off now, and so please do join us again next time. I'm Rich Micallef for Migration Stories. Omar, please give us another piece and we'll fade out on it.
I'm able to dream, I'm able to smile, I'm able to grow, and I'll go the extra mile, one day at a time. So put your hands together, we can change lives forever. Together, we're able.
Able Australia. Together, we're able.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed Video, a different sort of TV.
Alleluia. Om Mani Padme Om. Allah.
Welcome. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and today we're speaking with Kayleen White, and Kayleen's a pagan. a pagan. We'll talk a lot about paganism, but where did it start for you? What was your first spiritual religious experience?
Actually started when I was relatively young. As a primary school or preschool child, my mother wanted me to go to Sunday school. She was an Anglican, and although she tended to believe more in service to the community rather than necessarily going to church on a Sunday, she thought that I should have a fairly conventional Anglican upbringing. And one day the teacher that we had at Sunday school said that animals had no soul, and I was rather distressed by this, so I thought, no, that doesn't feel quite right. I know that there's a difference between soul and personality, but it just was inconceivable to me that the animals that we had as pets had no existence after death, and as a result of that I started to be, I guess, a little bit wary of what I was being taught, and to think that perhaps if there's another way I should perhaps look at that rather than necessarily following in the same path.
So how old were you when this was happening?
I would have been around about 6.
All right, so it's quite early.
Quite early, yeah.
And that, do you know where that arose from? Was it just innate?
I think it was innate. As I said, my adoptive mother was religious, and I've made contact with my birth family, and they also have strong spiritual views. So it may be partly genetic, it may be innate, but it's...
Okay. Yeah. So your birth family's views were they pagan views or no?
No, they were I think mostly Lutheran.
But still spiritual views.
Still spiritual views, yeah.
Yes, it's very interesting to be as young as that and have that awareness. So what happened then? Did you stay with the church?
I stayed with church. I felt that it was important to have some form of expression of my desire to be a spiritual person. I actually wound up being confirmed as an Anglican, but in my early teens I started to become a little bit disheartened, I guess you'd say. There were people who I guess I'd call Sunday Christians who would go to church and talk about love, and on the Sunday, and then on the Monday they'd happily stab you in the back at work. So I started to think that, well, this is not looking too good.
So in those days, what did love look like for you? What were you thinking about when you perceived this love?
Right,
in your teens.
It was a fairly immature version of love, probably an idealised version. I was thinking that love would involve perhaps actively caring for other people on a one-to-one or face-to-face basis. Trying to do things like encourage people, schoolmates, to not be quite so nasty towards each other. Yeah, just generally being as caring as you could towards people, and being perhaps kind is a good word to use.
And that would also extend to animals, I suppose, would it?
Absolutely, yeah. I was fortunate to be raised in a family where we always had pets, and to some extent that was a benefit in that we came to see the natural cycle of life and death. We also had the opportunity to start learning to care about another living creature. So if you've got a bird that needs to have its food recharged so that it can eat, then it's quite a useful practical lesson in terms of caring for other people.
Caring for others, yes. Okay, we're in our teens, and we move on. We go to university, is that right?
Well, actually, while I'm still in the teens,
still in the teens, right. Okay.
That was when I started searching around a little bit more actively, and I came across Buddhism at that stage. And I didn't know any other Buddhists. I was living in a small country town in Queensland. Basically it was too hot to do anything much, but I liked what I read about Buddhism. I liked the intellectual rigour. I liked the focus on compassion. So I started exploring it, and by the time I got to my late teens I was quite happily identifying as a Buddhist without perhaps really knowing too much about what it was, what sort of rituals and practices were involved, other than meditation and being mindful about what I was once doing.
Okay. Just going back to the Christian context, there was insufficient of that in Christianity. You weren't able to draw on it?
To some extent I was. I can remember at one stage when I was a kid, I used to work out little rituals to do, but make a note, okay, on this day I'm going to read such and such passages from the Bible and do this prayer and set the table for parents, and that's my good service for the day. Which they actually didn't like, because I'd be trying to do it at 5:30 in the morning when they're trying to sleep, and I'm trying to put things down quietly. Clink, clink, clink.
Yes, it's just such an interesting transition into Buddhism, and it ties back into your desire to express that love in a caring and committed way. Okay, we're in our late teens. We've done that. How old would you be when you were fully fledged Buddhist?
Well, I was probably calling myself Buddhist by the time I was 16.
So, okay, right.
But as I said, I didn't know any Buddhists. The only experience I really had was what I could read in books.
And what books were you reading?
Some of the fairly controversial ones by Lobsang Rampa, and some generic books, generic texts on Buddhism as well.
Mm-hmm. The Dhammapada and things like that as well.
Sorry?
The Dhammapada, did you read that?
No. That's just...
it's not prescribed reading, it's fine. I just wanted to ask. But we'll finish on Buddhism, we'll take a break, and we'll come back to this the story of your spiritual evolution. We'll be back in a moment.
We've all seen this one time or another. We may even have done it ourselves. But inhaling balloon gas is very dangerous and can be fatal. The helium in balloon gas acts as an asphyxiant, and when you inhale, it displaces the oxygen in your lungs. Balloon gas is safe in balloons and when you release it in a well-ventilated area and in a safe manner. So the next time you see some sucker about to inhale balloon gas, or you think it's going to be a laugh, stop and be gas-wise.
Behind every great athlete, there is a great support network. Australian Athletes with a Disability and Wheelchair Sports Australia help athletes realise their full potential.
Gonna go from 3, yes!
No matter their ability, we're there to support them. Sporting opportunities for all abilities. For more information, visit sports.org.au.
This bank is helping to save lives. Every year, 500,000 Victorians have no idea where their next meal is coming from. Food Bank Victoria works with farmers, supermarkets and manufacturers to make sure their surplus stock ends up here, to be distributed to those in need. But all of this is not enough. Right now, this bank needs interest, your interest, to support Victorians in need. If you can help, visit foodbankvictoria.org.au.
Joy, well-being, community, inclusion.
Special Olympics is a global movement for people with an intellectual disability, creating a world of inclusion and community through sport, where every person is accepted and welcomed, regardless of ability. One athlete, one volunteer, one family member at a time, helping to make the world a better place. Join the inclusion revolution by supporting Special Olympics.
And choose to include.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Kayleen White, and Kayleen is a pagan. Okay, we were tracing your history, Kayleen, and we're up to the point now where you're in your late teens, and you've been a Buddhist for quite a little while. What happened then?
I went to university.
Right.
So it involved moving 1,000 kilometres away from the little town of Mackay, and finding a residential college in Brisbane, studying, of all things, engineering.
Right.
And in general, I was getting contact with a whole range of intellectual approaches. There's a lot of variety in everything. There was mountain climbing I was intrigued with, but I never quite got around to taking that up before the course got too busy to think about it. But just the general attitude of questioning, I started to think from that maybe I should be looking a little bit more widely and see what else there was in case I'd made a decision that was a little bit premature and based on too little evidence. When I was trying to work out a career, I told my father I wanted to be an architect, and he said I should read further back in the alphabet. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't making the same mistakes. As a result, I just basically read as much as I could. I found a few New Age and metaphysical bookshops, and as a result I read anything I could, really. Theosophy, probably at that stage the one that appealed to me most, though, was shamanism.
Okay.
So I started, as best as I could without knowing anybody, to try and explore that a little bit. That stage there were some Buddhist centres starting to open up in Australia. I planned to go to a couple of retreats and never quite got there because usually coursework prevented me from having the time.
Yeah.
But at the end of 4 years I should say, I had a strong interest in shamanism and a job back in Mackay, so I headed back there and decided I'd do whatever I could.
And what did that look like? You mean just sort of practice as a shaman, or what?
Tried to. At that stage, my understanding of shamanism was based on the use of drumming to cause, I guess you'd say, a light trance state, so that you could enter what the shaman refers to as the underworld, or they also have an overworld as well. But it was a way of contacting spirits and energies in the natural world.
Yes.
So that appealed to me quite a bit, and the only problem is that it's very hard to do your own drumming and then be in trance at the same time.
That's right. They tend to cancel one another out.
They do a little bit, yes.
So you've actually done some solitary work, haven't you? In the sense that you took on the Buddhism without having Buddhists around you, and then shamanism the same thing. Yeah. So you've been powerfully seeking something. Yes. Yes. Right.
And to quite an extent, that's why eventually I left Mackay and came back down to Melbourne. I'd lived here as a child, and we moved up to Mackay when I was 12.
Okay.
And after 12 years of the coldest day being maybe 25 degrees and most of the time 36 degrees and about 120% humidity, I decided I'd like to have a change of weather apart from anything else. And I wanted to come back to a larger city which would give me the chance to talk to a few people, meet a few other people, and not just have to try and do things on my own.
Yes. And did that work out? How did you find that?
It worked out quite well, actually. I've made quite a few friends. I wound up making contact with, I guess I'd say, a New Age group, or it's really more of a combination of New Age and spiritualist. And I also went to a few colleges, studied things like shiatsu, because I had quite an interest in alternative healing.
Yes.
So I was able to make contact with other people and start actually practicing with somebody to say, well, no, you don't actually put your thumb in the eye, you put your thumb beside them to put the pressure on. And,
right.
So, yeah, I was able to get the guidance that I was looking for and an opportunity to do things in the practical way in the physical world. Right.
So when you use the term New Age, what did that look like? Because New Age encompasses so much.
Yeah. This group encompassed quite a bit. They believed in contact with aliens, spirit rescue, channeled energy healing, past life reincarnation, which was a particular interest of mine, working with crystals, mediumship. So it was quite a range.
It was quite a range.
Yeah.
And spiritualism, was that sitting in there as well?
Yeah, the guy who ran the group had a background that originally came from spiritualism, and he broadened it out to include things like the past lives and crystals. Although there's quite a few spiritualist churches in my experience now,
yes,
that really also include a lot of these other activities.
Yeah. So where did you go from there?
I started teaching. There was a healing group in the Mornington Peninsula that I was travelling to from Oakley, and the couple who were running that were unable to continue with the group, so I wound up moving to Frankston and renting a lovely old house with stained glass windows so that I could start running an alternative healing group. And I've often found that the best way to teach or to learn something is to teach it or try to teach it.
Right, right.
So,
so the healing, what sort of healing? It was shiatsu, but what else did you do?
It was similar to Reiki, what's called Reiki now, but without the formality of it. So basically, I just, people call it hands-on or spiritual healing.
Right.
So very similar to Reiki, but without the formalised visualizations and formalised sequence of positions of hands.
Okay, okay. So, as you say, less formal. Did you? But I think actually what's happening now, and I'm just holding myself in abeyance here because we're getting close to the end, so I'm not going to ask you that big question. But what I will discuss with you after the break is the whole paganism side of it. We'll be back in a moment.
We always liked to play chess together ever since we were little. He was always a better player than me. When I was diagnosed with Pompe's disease in 2002, I was told that my life expectancy was going to be poor, and my condition deteriorated rapidly before I was able to start treatment. My brother and I both suffered from the disease. But now I consider myself the fortunate one. My brother spent the last 2 years of his life in hospital. He didn't have access to this wonderful treatment that should be available to everybody. The world just keeps getting smaller as you progressively lose the ability to walk. So your world shrinks, and then gradually you realise, I haven't been to the supermarket in 6 months. I'm 59 now, and every year I can see my daughter grow up is a blessing. I believe my treatment's made this possible.
To learn more and help those living with Pompe's disease, register at australianpompe.com.
We reckon one of the most powerful things in the world is this sausage, because a sausage can do just about anything. It helps people to walk, see and hear, supports families after fire, drought and flood, and even helps plant trees in our community. Our sausages are working to cure cancer, helping farmers in tough times, and connecting people who are new to a community. And at the same time that they're doing all that, they're nurturing the leaders of tomorrow while building friendships that last a lifetime. Yep, these humble sausages are more powerful than you can believe. They're working wonders in our community. And at Lions, so can you. Lions Australia, we serve more than sausages.
If you were living on the streets, wouldn't you want more than just your best friend to keep you safe and warm? Donate to Backpack Bed for Homeless and give warm, waterproof protection and dignity tonight. Call 1300 OzHelp.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Kayleen White. And Kayleen's a pagan. Kayleen, you've got the healing process going. Did you develop a big following for that? Is it?
No, we had a group of about a dozen people, and people would turn up if they wanted healing. So similar in a lot of ways to what happens in a lot of spiritualist churches. And a lot of the people who came along were spiritualist.
When you say healing, what sort of healing do you mean? What was it that they wanted?
The aim was to provide ease of physical aches and pains, to provide people with an increased sense of well-being and vitality. We certainly didn't try or promise any miracles. We're just aiming to ease people's discomfort and make life a little bit more bearable.
So it was physical healing rather than spiritual healing. Yes, yes. Okay, we're poised and we're moving forward. What's next?
I guess I basically spent a bit of time living, including, ironically perhaps, a few years living on a boat called Harmony.
Yes.
And then in around about 2005, I went to a conference that had been organised in Adelaide, which was called the National Queer Spirituality Conference.
Mm-hmm.
And in the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, intersex world, there are a lot of people who tend to assume that LGBTI people don't have an interest in spirituality, and this conference was aiming to show that that's not the case, and give us a chance to share our concerns, share our problems, and start working towards solutions, if we could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're at this LBGTI type in gathering.
Yep.
And then something was exposed to you. What was it that sparked your interest?
In one of the presentations, the presenter talked about the goddess, and the simplest way to explain that is probably the concept of deity, but not as a male being or a genderless being, but as a female being, one which nurtures and cares about the world and people on it. And the concept just clicked. It just felt so comfortable and so right for me that it was a life-changing moment. I thought, okay, this sounds to me exactly like what I've been looking for all this time. So I think I should perhaps look into this a little bit more.
Which had a fairly big impact because you'd been searching and looking in all sorts of places.
That's right.
So what was the really key element? Was it the goddess bit, was it?
It was for me, yes, because it was acknowledging women and the feminine principle as being as inherently equally important to male principle. So there was no male deity over everything. It was saying, well, there's a couple of ways of looking at this, but basically it was saying that the female principle is at least as important as the male. Right from the point of view of creation, because the Wiccan creation method is based around, starts with the female rather than the male.
So that's an interesting way of sort of coming into your spiritual beingness.
Yep.
So, all right, you sparked the interest, then you must have gone further.
Yeah, I came back to Melbourne and I got on the internet and did a little bit of searching. There's a website in America called Witch's Voice, and they have quite a few contacts, and it turned out that somebody had a Wiccan group that was about 2 blocks away. So I made contact with her and joined up to the group and started studying.
Okay, you've brought up the word Wiccan, and we're talking pagan. Can you illustrate the difference between those two for us?
Yeah, the easiest way to explain it is probably that pagan tends to be an umbrella term. It includes Wicca, witchcraft, druidry, a whole range of other particular traditions. In recent years, it doesn't include heathenry, which are people who tend to follow the old Norse gods, who believe in Asatru and traditions like that.
Yes.
So it's sort of an umbrella term for earth-focused religions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, well, when I introduce you as a pagan, is that right, or should I introduce you as a Wicca, or what?
These days, I identify as pagan. I spent several years studying and being a member of a Wiccan tradition. I actually wound up becoming initiated as a priestess in one tradition, and wound up being appointed as first elder of another Wiccan tradition. But my preference is a more broader interest in all of what these paths are leading me to. So I don't want to tie myself to just one particular set of beliefs.
Right.
I'd like to have a broader approach, and as a result, probably about 4 years ago, I decided to start calling myself a pagan rather than calling myself Wiccan.
Yes. So it's a more generic and inclusive term. So when you're a priestess, what's your principal function? What's the...
Basically organising rituals. So in that particular temple, it was a teaching temple. We had to learn about the philosophy behind Wicca. We learned about celebrating the seasons. So for example, we'd celebrate the winter solstice, which is called Yule in the Wiccan tradition. We'd celebrate the full moons, the new moons. And these celebrations to some extent refer back to what's called the Wiccan Rede. A lot of people use just one line out of that, which is "and at harm none, do as you will." But the full Wiccan Rede is a fairly long poem, and it talks about honouring the seasons, honouring the goddess.
Yes, so it looks as though we're going to need to come back and talk about this again. Would you be available to follow on this pagan Wiccan exploration?
Absolutely.
That would be good.
Yep.
Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week, and we'll be speaking again with Kayleen White.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om, Allahu
Okay, Sarah, I'm going to order some pathology tests to see how everything's going.
Half the Australian population had a pathology test last year. That's you or someone you love. 100 tests are performed every minute, delivering vital medical information. From the moment you are born, your healthcare depends on pathology tests. 70% of medical decisions rely on information from pathology tests. Pathology is the engine room of healthcare. One small sample can reveal millions of insights all about you. Pathologists are your doctor's doctor. 25,000 people work to provide doctors with the answers they need to treat you. Australian pathology is world class. We may never meet you, but we see each of you as part of our family. Every minute, 23 Australians find out more about their health.
Good news, Sarah, the results show that everything's okay.
Pathology provides peace of mind.
I rely on Australian pathology.
Sign up online to support Australian pathology.
Man to man, it's time to stop.
Stop the tragic waste of life and the destruction of families, including your own.
Stop blaming drugs and alcohol and believing that walking away makes you weak.
Stop thinking you're a hero and wasting your life behind bars, wishing you could take that one moment back.
Stop the coward's punch.
Alleluia. Om Mani Padme Om. Allah Satnam
Welcome. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Kayleen White, and Kayleen is a pagan. Kayleen, thanks for coming back in again.
Welcome.
Paganism. What's the main thrust of paganism?
The easiest way to consider that is to consider what are called three centres of paganism. Mm-hmm. There's earth-focused, self-focused and deity-focused. Mm-hmm. So the people who are earth-focused, the issue that's most of significance to them is caring about the planet, making sure that the planet is revered properly, doing things like having compost heaps, which I've got actually 2 of. People who are self-focused tend to look at the instruction to be all that you can be. So have as much engagement with life and living in the physical as you can. Mm-hmm. And those who are deity focused tend to focus on the deities such as Tyr, Isis, the goddess, or the goddess and her consort, I should say, sometimes called the Lady and the Lord. And the issue that's important for them is revering or worshipping the deity or tradition of deities that they follow.
Well, going just back over those 3, because they encompass individually a huge amount. Yeah. The earth-focused people, would you expect to find them in environmental movements? Is that where their power is?
Yes, their interest is in making sure that we look after this planet, not just from the point of view that it makes sense, but also from the point of view that it's a sacred duty to care for the planet. Mm-hmm. The closest concept that would possibly help people to understand that is the concept of Gaia, that the whole planet is a living organism. Mm-hmm. So it's not quite the same as what most pagans who are earth-focused believes, but the main thing is that the earth is significant and must be cared for.
Where would they have got their, where are they linked back into? Where would they have got their direction from? Is that go right back to the Druids, or what does it do?
Yeah, pagans, if you go back 2 or 3 millennia, pagans were living on the earth, and it was important to be living in harmony with the earth so that you would have enough food to live, you would have the resources that you needed to clothe and shelter your family and your tribe. Mm-hmm. If you didn't live in harmony with the earth, then, well, you wound up with things such as Easter Island, where an advanced civilization disappeared.
Yes, exactly. In fact, as you say, that many of the first peoples were clearly pagans, earth pagans in that context. Are there any rituals which would distinguish earth pagans from other pagan groups? Is there something that they do specifically?
Not so much the rituals, but more the action involved, making sure that composting our food, recycling, avoiding excessive consumption. People don't have to have 35 computers or multiple phones, for example. So it's really probably being focused on living a lifestyle that treads lightly upon the earth.
Okay. And that certainly fits strongly into environmental, and as you say, to some extent in the whole Gaia principle. Self-focused paganism.
The line that's probably best known out of the Wiccan Rede is, and it harm none, do as you will. But there's another line in there which is important to these people, which is, all acts of love and pleasure are sacred to me, which is being spoken by the goddess as part of this poem. Mm-hmm. The idea here is that for a pagan, or particularly a Wiccan, the earth is the cloak that the goddess puts on in order that we may know the goddess. Mm-hmm. Whereas perhaps the Christian view is more that the God is the potter who forms the earth and then puts it aside.
Yes.
So it's separate to deity. Whereas we believe that the physical world is an expression of deity, and living our life to the best of our ability is how we can best get to know deity and become connected to deity and establish that relationship with deity.
Mm-hmm.
So people who are self-focused believe in being all that you can be, and enjoying and acknowledging and appreciating aspects of life, such as sharing a feast with people after a ritual, or having a healthy sex life, and making sure that you deal with any personal problems to the best of your ability.
Mm-hmm. So that's sort of peace-driven process, isn't it? We're sort of trying to cooperate together.
Yeah.
Just on that issue of love and sex, how is that distinguished? Because they're two big subjects in their own right.
They are indeed. The pagan view is that sex is a normal, healthy part of life,
mm-hmm.
and it should be enjoyed as a pleasure. Because of the adjuration to do no harm, it should always be consensual.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything's not, for example, rape, that's not just a crime and an act of violence to us, it's also an act of sacrilege.
Yeah.
So sex is inherently and naturally good. If sex is also combined with love, in the sense of romantic love, then you've got basically a double benefit. So love is something to enjoy, sex is something to enjoy. You've got both of them there. Great.
So far it seems that both of those, earth-based and self-based, it's a basis of it is sacredness. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yes.
Okay, then we get to the last of those, the deity basis.
And with that group of people, the emphasis there is on the sacred as a distinct element. So, for example, having a shrine in your house for whatever deity you follow. I don't have a specific shrine for the deities that I'm particularly connected to, but I honour them, for example, by lighting candles and by trying to live my life in line with the principles that they enshrine.
Okay, so it sounds as though you have a little bit of an attachment to all three, but
absolutely.
What we'll do is we'll go to a break and then we'll unravel that. We'll be back in a moment.
Every time you shop, the choices you make affect our community. It is important to select Australian products made by Aussie-owned companies. Our food security means quality and peace of mind. Your purchasing power keeps your dollars multiplying in our economy, keeping jobs, profits and decisions being made right here, which is better for your children.
So the next time you buy, look for the AusBuy logo. It makes all the difference.
You teach us strangers are dangerous. But someone we know is a much more likely threat. You teach us strangers are dangerous. But who will help when you're not around? Create a world without unnecessary fear. Prepare, don't scare.
Australian women need to kiss more. Watch out for persistent and unusual symptoms, as they could be a sign of ovarian cancer. Know the important signs and symptoms. Kiss. Look out for symptoms like abdominal or back pain, difficulty eating or feeling full quickly, or persistent bloating, or a change in toilet habits. If you're experiencing persistent and unusual symptoms for more than 14 days, see a GP. Make sure you kiss regularly.
Of Distant Delight is a mixed selection of transportation pictures from here and there and almost everywhere, but not quite. Some quirky, some mundane, some from the past, perhaps reflecting a transit system that has vanished into history, and some from thriving transport entities that continue to endure despite the constant pressures from the all-pervasive motorcar. Enjoy.
Alleluia.
You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Kayleen White, and Kayleen's a pagan. As I was saying before the break, there's those three styles, if you like. You seem to be a bit attached to each one of them. Are they intermixed? How does, like the self aspect, how does that manifest itself in the other types?
I guess probably the easiest way to explain it is that something that's important to me is being able to care and be of service to other people. When I'm looking after the planet Earth, then I'm contributing to the planet being left in a condition where future generations can enjoy it. So, for example, my day job is as a civil engineer, and I design wastewater treatment plants. So I'm reducing pollution. In terms of caring, or being the best at all that I can myself, if I'm a better human being, then I can interact with other people more effectively. And in the course of being a better human being and manifesting what I want to be, that involves, for me, inherently caring and looking after other people in whatever way I can.
Right.
In terms of the deity focus, one of my main patron deities is the Northern European god Tyr, also known by many people by the Saxon name Tu, and basically he's the god who Tuesday is named after. Tyr has a few attributes. The one that is most significant to me is basically social justice, good functioning of the community, and that drives a lot of my involvement in social activism, writing letters to politicians. So there's a fair bit of overlap between all three.
And that would be the case for most people who would claim paganism, wouldn't you think? There would be some that are focused?
A lot would. It's such a broad range.
Is it? Yes.
You'll find a lot of people who are focused on one or the other. So, for example, a lot of modern Wicca traces back to Gerald Gardner in England in the 50s and to some extent the 60s. His focus and a lot of their focus was on, to some extent, hedonism, living a lifestyle which is focused on pleasure.
Yes.
Gerald was a naturist, so his version of Wicca also includes naturism or nudity. That's not common to everybody.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And if you go back further, if you're a pagan, say 3,000 years ago, in Northern Europe and it's the middle of winter, you don't really want to strip off to celebrate. So right. There's a fairly wide range. Yes. Other people find the issue of deity of a major focus. So they may, for example, focus on having altars for the deities that they follow in their house.
So you'd have to be very careful in describing someone just blankly as a pagan, because they're clearly, it's like saying someone's a Christian, but they could be many shades of Christianity.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, with prayer, prayer is mixed up, but you do pray, don't you?
Effectively, yes. Yeah.
But it sort of fits into other parts, though. How does prayer fit in?
A lot of pagans and witches and Wiccans in particular believe in directing the non-physical energy behind the world by using spells, not just rituals, but also spells. So that may involve, for example, making a talisman for protection. I've got little pyramid-based tetrahedrons that I make for world peace and as well as for psychic protection. It also involves, for example, a spoken, what would be considered a prayer or a poem, for example. And as an example of that, one of the groups that I was involved in was looking for a way to commemorate and do something about the first anniversary of the 9/11 events.
Okay.
And, sorry, it wasn't the first, it was about the 5th. And we had a discussion about conflict, and out of that we identified 4 major elements, and as a result we came up with a a brief, well, we call it a spell, but it's basically can be viewed as a prayer or a poem, which is aiming to promote peace and harmony in the world.
Yeah, we'll actually get you to read that poem, but we'll do it in the final segment because time is not going all that well for us. But so, if you were to address your patron deity and pray, cast a small spell, what would it sound like?
Well, as an example, I may be reading the newspaper and notice something that I thought, no, that's not quite the way it should be. So I might say something like, Tia, I ask you to guide Mr. Abbott towards greater understanding and compassion towards asylum seekers. So mote it be.
Okay.
And that's it.
So, well, that's a prayer like anybody else, really.
Yeah.
It's always like Shakespeare always got it right, and a rose by any other name.
Yes.
I wish I'd said that. It's pretty brilliant, really.
It was.
So, is there any sort of collective, like people turn up in a church and they pray together, or they turn up in a temple and they pray together? Is there a process for that with the pagan group?
Yeah. People tend to organise themselves into groups, so a lot of pagans tend to make contact initially through online. We've adopted the internet very enthusiastically. A lot of people make contact then through social gatherings in pubs, which are called pagans in the pub.
Contact. Pagans in the pub.
Yep.
Time's out. We'll be back in a moment.
With the warmer months upon us, here are some poolside safety tips. Because not everyone can swim like Clarky and I. S is for supervision. Always have an adult watching over the kids. A is for Oswim. Have your children taught to swim by an Oswim licensed teacher. F is for fencing. Ensure secure fencing surrounds your pool. E is for emergencies. Always be prepared. R is for rule. Ensure your family know the rules around your pool. Be safer and have fun.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity. We're speaking to Kayleen White, and Kayleen's a pagan. Earlier on, Kayleen, you mentioned about a group of pagans internationally coming together to find some way of commemorating one of the 9/11 anniversaries. Now, I think the themes of that were hope, peace, love, and prosperity, and they were referred to as spells, which you just explained. It is inclusive of what would be described by many as prayer. Love, the one on love is very telling. I just wondered, would you read that for us, please?
Sure. May love like water pour forth, filling my heart and soul, flowing out over all the earth and making all things whole. Love as deep as the ocean, clear as the mountain lakes, crowning all other emotion, the thirst of humanity slakes. Love enters and heals the aching heart and washes away its pain, thus clearing the way for a better start to reach out and love others again. Fill me, O love, like a cup to the top. Fill the world as well like a sea, that I may know love from the world without stop, and all the world know love from me.
Yes, that is beautiful. Thanks very much, Kayleen. It's those last four lines really, and this program, Harmony and Diversity, one of the things which emerges from it is the perspective of love entertained by people of all different sorts of persuasions. But those particular last lines encompass it. Now, how does that fit? Now, they were put together by a group of pagans. So, how does that concept of love fit in to the whole pagan picture?
Basically, caring for the planet, love for the planet, for those who are earth-focused, is a sacred duty. Mm-hmm. Those who are focused on the self, love of the self is a necessary prerequisite for love. So you can't have an effective love for another human being in terms of, say, an intimate form of love, and it's harder to have an effective love for humanity in general in terms of agape type love, unless you are first comfortable and able to appreciate yourself. So for a pagan, being prepared to fully engage with yourself, your flaws, your hopes, and be all that you can be and address the problems that you have is a really key thing, because it then opens up the door so that you can then do whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's relate with other people through service to others or relate to your deities and establish a good healthy relationship with them, because love of deity is important to those who are deity focused. But again, you have to have a good self-appreciation and be healthy yourself before you can have a healthy relationship with the deity.
Okay. Now, just talking about deity, now your principal patron is Tia. I was going to use Chus, which is the other one, is it? Tia, okay. Now, and this applies to all pagans who have deity. A Christian, for example, who's got deity has got the Bible, and they look it up, and they know from their reading what God says or what Jesus says. From the deity perspective, how do you get to that power?
Okay, a lot of it is things like meditation. So taking time to still yourself so that you can listen within, and that's how I become more aware of what Tia wants me to do. I don't hear voices or anything spectacular, but it's more of an inner knowing.
Yes.
It feels right, and you just feel, it's a little bit like your conscience, that I should be taking action on this particular issue, for example. So for a lot of pagans, it's basically that being in a place where it can be quiet and be focused on the deity. So for example, going to a natural type of environment where you get away from the hustle and bustle of the city, then it may be easier to listen to your gods there.
So it's really that meditative component is once again the component of all of the major religions. So paganism sounds as though it's going pretty close to being a religion. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely would, yeah. There's increasing recognition of paganism as a religion. We still have a few problems along the way in terms of being treated respectfully.
Yes.
But we certainly are making good progress there.
That's an interesting point. Respectfully, do you find that the pagan outlook is always respected?
No. There's a lot of confusion. For example, a lot of people assume that if you're a Wiccan or a paganism, then you're into Satanism, which is not at all the case. Satan is connected with Christianity. We don't actually have the equivalent of that sort of negative influence.
No.
And in fact, when pagan Ireland was converted to Christianity, they had to pinch a word from another language so that they could have something to refer to as sin. And in a lot of pagan groups, people who also are interested in Satanism will often find themselves getting kicked out. But there's that sort of confusion and error.
Yes, it's quite a major confusion at that as well. So it would seem that your deity connection is driven from your innate awareness of what is good and what is right and what is love. Would that be
that'd be true?
A fair description. Yes, that's. I'd appreciate it if we just could read the last 4 lines of Love Calling.
Fill me, O love, like a cup to the top. Fill the world as well like a sea, that I may know love from the world without stop, and all the world know love from me.
Thanks, Carleen.
You're welcome.
That's our time is up, and thank you so much for an insightful look inside of paganism.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om, Allahu.
Every time we buy certified organic, we're making a choice to help our environment and build a healthier community. But it can be hard to know that what we're buying is truly organic. The Australian Certified Organic logo is only given to products after a very rigorous process. So when you see this logo, it means you can trust that there are no genetically modified foods, no animal cruelty, and no harsh synthetic pesticides used. A healthier community is always better for our future. So the next time you shop, look for this logo.
Here is some brilliant news for adults who have difficulties with spelling, reading a newspaper or phone bill, or writing letters and emails. It can be easier to improve your reading and writing skills than to keep putting it off. Take the plunge. Call the Reading Writing Hotline, 1300 655 06.
1300 655 06.
It could change your life.
Every new line means 2 more hands. Join us, lions.org.au.
For interesting and informative interviews, join us for NAT Chat Monday nights at 8. Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
The following program carries an MA classification and may contain adult themes and coarse language. MELfeed.video advises that it is suitable for viewers aged 15 plus.
This is called The Turning.
Some of you may recognise this poem, some of you may not. You all should get what we're talking about. Poets are the scavengers of human emotions. We don't really have any, so we'll steal them where we can.
Pick them off the bones of misery. Poets love war.
Famine.
Massacres.
Dying children.
Oh, anything to make you weep.
Poets are miserable cunts.
Miserable, sad.
Pathetic.
Disingenuous.
Backstabbing, lousy.
Assholes.
And I'm a poet, so you put it together.
All poets are just waiting to die. Just hoping they'll get to drag it out long enough to get a really good,
epic final poem out of it. We don't mind suffering as long as there's a poem in it.
Miserable bastards, all of us.
I want to be a truck driver.
Oh, shit. I want to be a truck. Big wheels smashing down the highway.
Fucking not caring about anything.
Get out of my way, Walt!
I want to play golf. Professionally.
Golfers have it easy. All they have to do is golf and receive checks.
Poets don't get no stinking checks.
Poets eat dead air and empty applause. No one likes you, poet.
No one likes you, poets. No one fucking likes you.
I am a meaning machine. I make meaning. I can be a meaning machine, making the meanest meanings, or make mean meanings that mean just what I want them to mean. You're a meaning machine, and I mean to make you, me, us, my meaning. You're mean not getting my meaning when you mean you don't understand. I mean to make meaning of us. You mean so much. You add meaning to my machine, my life meaning machine. My meaning is really keen. I want your meaning machine to lean a little way my way, create a lean-to meaning. My meaning is meaningless without you hearing my meaning. I'm not mean. I'm not meaningless. I know what us means to me. If you keep saying you don't get what I'm meaning, just listen. I mean what I say what I mean. I'm meaningless, you're meaningless, let us make meaning. Ah, don't be so mean. Listen. I am a meaning machine. I make meaning of my life. I make meaning of... I mean to make my life meaningful to you. I mean to make my life meaningful for you. You mean everything to me. I mean, listen. Come closer. Listen. I mean, this heart beats when I see you. It beats so fast. It beats and I know I'm alive when I see you. Is your heart alive? Listen. Listen. Is it soft and slow? Is it racing and painful? Does it skip a beat? Is all that gives meaning to your life meaningful? All that is meaningful in your life means the world to me. You ask what that means? Don't be mean. You are a meaning machine. You are being a meaning machine. Get my meaning? Share my meaning. Share my making meanings. My heart will still beat. Should your meaning differ? Should your meaning differ? I mean to show you Your heart is your heart. One's thoughts are one's thoughts. I made my meaning. My meaning is my choice. Your meaning is yours. Still, if I mean something to you, share your meaning. Share my meaning. My heart will still beat. Does that mean I will feel alive if I am not sure of your meaning? Listen. Closer. Listen. Your ear against my heart means we are connected. Connect with my heart. Hear my meaning. My meaning? My heart beats in time with yours. Are we both alive? Or does that mean the us in my meaning has died?
I was looking up out of my bedroom window one morning, and this is what I saw. I called it On Looking Up. You drifted over into sight, your teeth so white, your coat so bright, with bobs behind chasing your might. Are you winking at me? And lying back, you have me entranced. Wow, your body can dance. And through your nose, a copter you've sneezed. Who knows where it's been? Time has been, you're no longer seen. Today, you've shown your class of a truly original, intriguing display. Inside, I ponder and play. On your momentary flowing shape, my mind is so ablaze with wonder of being, of the life we graze. And once again, I've been amazed. Thank you.
William Tyrrell was abducted from his nana's home on the New South Wales mid-north coast on the 12th of September 2014. And somebody knows who did it. Do you? There is a $1 million reward for information that leads police to William. That's 1 million reasons to make the call. Contact Crime Stoppers now. 1800 333 000. Make the call.
Dad, we need to have the talk.
What? You going to talk to me about the birds and the bees?
Dad, no.
Don't be shy about talking with your parents about the facts of life, that people over 55 are at an increased risk of drowning. They need to know their limitations, be aware of medical conditions, avoid alcohol, wear a life jacket, and learn life-saving skills. Have the talk with your parents today.
Behind your favourite team, there's another team. At all levels, in all codes, sports trainers are working to make sport safer. Sports trainers learn injury prevention techniques from doctors and other health professionals so they can provide the right first aid when the going gets tough. If your team could do with a sports trainer, maybe it's time you got a little closer to the action. Find out how you can become a sports trainer. Sports Medicine Australia, providing the team behind the team.
Northern Access Television will turn 30 in 2020. We are planning a celebration night with a book and a special TV show about our history. If you're a past member or a volunteer of NAT, we would love to hear from you. For more details, visit the website nat30years.info and find out how you can help celebrate 30 years of media for the community. The 30th anniversary of Northern Access Television. Let's celebrate in 2020.
This one's for Mike Reynolds because he likes this one. Saturday morning, out of bed, just before daylight, can hear the rooster crowing on his perch. getting dressed as quick as I can, and out to the kitchen table, scoff down me porridge, take me knife off the mantelpiece, give it a quick sharpen, then slip it into me pocket, out the back door, put me gumboots on, then me old coat and beanie, out the back gate and into the chook yard, feed 'em as I go. Put the 6 sooks in the yard at the cow shed for Dad to put them on the house cows after he milks them by hand. Open the gate at the holding pen for the cows, heading down the paddock to check me fox lines. Pick up me bundy and old spud bag at the hanging tree as I head through the orchard, keeping clear of the roos as I go. Don't want to disturb the does or the buck will go me. He's at least 7 feet standing up straight and he keeps his eye on me. Over the fence and into the bush, me home away from home. Can smell the rosella nests in the hollows of the trees as I walk past them. As I walk through the bush, I follow the same path my family has been travelling for the past 3 generations. Being in that it is late autumn and the only plants flowering at the moment is the heather. Me mum's favourite flowers. They're reds, purple and whites and pinks. Even though these flowers don't have any scent, they are very beautiful. The bush always smells so good early in the morning. No wonder I'm always in it. I get close to me first fox line. It's a steel trace about 2 foot long with a loop on one end and a shark hook on the other. On the hook, there are some rotten rabbit guts and meat. You hang it from a tree about 4'6" from the ground, just high enough for the fox so he has to jump off the ground to get a feed. Then he will be hooked, just like a fish. Then doing so, his feet can't touch the ground, so he has to hang around for me. Nothing on the first line, keep travelling to the next. Good, got one on the next one. So I crack him on the head with me bundy and skin him where he hangs. This way he's easy to skin and I don't get the pelt dirty. Roll the skin up and put it into me spud bag. Taking the fox carcass down and throwing it into the bush. Then rebait the hook and move on to the next line. Going over the same procedure for the next 8 lines. Using 10 lines to me run, averaging around 6 foxes a night. Once I'm finished, me last line, head down to the creek, wash me knife and then me hands, and then I head back home. As I climb over the holding pen fence at the cow shed, I can smell food being cooked on the house. Always makes me feeling hungry. I get to the hay shed, stretch out me skins and tack 'em to the wall. When finished that, I strip off me dirty jeans, jumper and old coat and leave 'em hanging in the woodshed. In the house I have a scrub, then head for the kitchen table for some more grub. 6 eggs on toast with fried veggies. Mum asks how me lines went and I'll let her know. Me big blister cleans up the brekkie dishes while Mum starts doing the washing. Me 2 big blooders are outside cutting wood and me baby blooder, he gets to hang with me for the day. I'm doing all right for an 8-year-old tacker with the wind in me head and the devil in me tail. I get a quid for each red fox skin and 5 quid for the whites and the black ones, which I give me money to me mum on the fact that she feeds me, washes me clothes, and I love her very much. Thanks very much. This happened in Perth. It's called my signature move. The guy finally decided, yes, he will go ahead and buy my $10 CD. Just as long as I sign it, please. No problem. Oh, and write something interesting inside the CD cover. So I write something interesting inside the CD cover. He thinks I'm being funny. That the arsehole after the money thing is all an act.
A fat, short and crass little man in a hat hangs out after shows trying to get your cash. Disingenuous, oh yes, but acting much less. Guess I must be a real natural, coming off convincingly casual. He hands over the dollars owing, never knowing I might have tried to write something interesting right up until the point that he asked me to.
I could tell you, I've been doing this for over 10 years. I started off quiet and awkward. Then I hardened the fuck up and got loud and awkward. I could tell you I slammed in New York City, rocked out to Bunny Rabbit and Black Cracker in Brooklyn, shook hands with Sage Francis, reminisced about an old friend we shared. Could tell you I performed at the Sydney Opera House more than twice, been on more stages than you've been in taxis, been in more taxis than you've had hot lunches, had less hot lunches than you've probably had. Probably. I can tell you I'm the best poet in this room. I shit poetry slams for breakfast in my sleep. I'm so hardcore, I'm just core, like an apple. Or a pear, perhaps. I could tell you, but then you'd see my hands shake and you'd know it was all just talk, another pose, nothing to take seriously, and I'd feel like a jerk. So, I'll tell you that I live for this moment, that I walk onto this stage feeling so overwhelmed with a kind of awful joy, and I get so scared by the idea that I need to make a career out of this. I get so frightened, I can't even tell you.
To every child's development, an important message from the Australian Toy Association.
I was in my 40s when I was first diagnosed with bowel cancer. George, my son, was 6 years old at that time. These days, like people of his age, he's very busy, but he still needs to find the time to get to know his bowel cancer risk. Is that right, George?
Yes, Dad. Bowel cancer affects 1 in 12 Australians, young and old, and is our second biggest cancer killer. But if caught early, bowel cancer is treatable and beatable. My dad is living proof of that. So get to know your bowel cancer risk. Talk to your pharmacist or GP about screening. Protect yourself and the ones you love. Go to lovemyfamily.org.au.
If you choose to speed,
you could ruin lives.
Someone else's, your family's, or your own.
Choose not to instead.
The right choice could save someone's life.
Proud supporters of safety in our community.
GMCU and Southern Cross Austereo.
This one is called Two Shells. While we were away touring, one of my favorite things to do is go to museums, and I had a head full of sea turtles and dinosaurs and cool things. I'm glad that you're glad that I'm here, because it was one of those odd 1 in 1,000 odds sort of things. We were just eggs once amongst thousands of the hopeful, hopeless, living lives unfertilized, waiting exposed, coasting lines, fighting random chance in the fickleness of beach sands as a cradle and the lap of every wave that did not want us. And we have these hard shells. We've held our moist vulnerability within our cells. Scales on our skin kept wet this way, stayed safe. And only in coming together, only in crossing that distance could we trace the faintest of footprints that slowly are leading us away to where land will become liquid. Now finding the tide to take us out into oceans to explore away from the shore. Now we can ocean swim. I can teach you my smile. You can show me how to dive. We can make bubbles underwater. We float on our backs, cast shadows below, only needing to look up to avoid the occasional speedboat boy or other human garbage. Watch me attack the waves with my flippant limbs, splashing around like an idiot. You can show me ways to breathe out here, just beyond shallow. I will fish for your compliments, watch schools of tiny creatures almost invisible go scatter around our legs. We will lose the smudged shoreline, forget where I left my things, get salty all over, tread the clear water, prune this pale skin, find where our fins won't scrape the bottom, come right out of our shells and wait long enough for this to get cold. Then we'll swim back for the shore. Now we know for sure the depths out there down below. We know it deep, that there is life out there. It's liquid and fragile and colorful and poisonous and deadly, and it was ours for those short hours before this Darwin amphibian swim had to just come back in. Because still, we know deeper down when on dry ground, we'll need these hard shells once again.
This is called It Continues On. Anyone could wonder or think, without troubles, arguments, fights, or a girl, if the world can sink. And whenever something's that's wrong, when it is one of a serious kind to find, usually it's in a poor, uneducated part of town and not in a middle-class abode, so a lot of problems can't always be forebode.
Ashes. Out of the ashes of argument comes silence. Listen for the small, still voice. Remain quiet in suffering. That out of the inner fire of turmoil and doubt may come the true purpose of existence, standing in our presence but not seen except in the silence of pain and the stillness of the cross, the ultimate sacrifice that is love.
Within, without, we turn. With one we sometimes go. We move and then we turn to follow then the other. Within, without, we gather ourselves with one to be. Retreat then to his brother. We see dim what they are. Internal lands inside our minds, we live them out, we follow. Chasing themes, building dreams, ideas of hope and sorrow. Within we burrow and dance with shadowed dreams. We wrestle deep and shallow, perhaps ourselves to see. Within in country, well charted, all unknown, we live, this is reality, at least this is one kind. External things outside ourselves manipulate and shape them. Doing good, growing food, fundamentally understand them. Without, we do everything we want. We work with things we prove, we know what's real, or do we? Without, we be whatever we can be. We know reality, but then again, do we?
This is called language difficulties. She says because she comes from Italy, she doesn't speak English very well. I say because I come from Australia, I don't speak English very well either. She doesn't understand. When making a suggestion, she says she wants to propose to me. I say, hang on, we just met. And ask her if all Italians are always this forward. She doesn't understand. I say, it's a lovely night, isn't it? She says, yes, it is a good night. I say, well, I hope we are not saying good night so soon if we have to say good night at all. And she doesn't understand. Yet she may understand that I'm trying to seduce her. She says she likes my eyes are green. And I don't understand exactly what she means. And I know words. Having entered my 4th decade now trying to master them, I have used words. Talk my way in and out of jobs, fights, friends, lovers. I've got strangers talking to me. My words have started friends crying, have talked other people out of dying. My words are all I have. But tonight, I'm a man with 100 cans and no can opener. She is where I am. Hello, very sorry, excuse me, nice to meeting you. Where you need to find out how to get please, the bus is stopping, excuse me, how much is the toilet, and how can you tell me the way to the one beer, thank you. So clever wording and innuendo, not gonna work here. Useless, as my overstacked metaphors piled high with double meanings and self-effacing, self-sabotaging, clever remarks stacked so high they topple over and the metaphor falls flatter than... But she is charming and adventurous and Italian. And we walk around, my feet, her mouth, each step struggling with self-expression. Shoulders rubbing much closer than our comprehensions can. So few words we share, so we wrestle over each one and baffle each other until I say this was not the way I wanted to tire out our tongues, if you know what I mean. The rest of the words left aside, then I end in a tongue tie, because luckily for me, she really does just like guys with green eyes.
If I ever met you, these are some of the things I would like to say. That you are beautiful, but I do not love you. I hope I have lived long enough to know the difference, not make the same mistakes. I would like very much to sit with you across a table, exchange ideas of life, but I do not know you. You do not know me, and I am too old to believe in fate. Still, the romantic poet in me wishes for another life where I would kiss your cheek and you would tell me many things.
Five of us are affected.
10% of us will have at least one.
And the numbers double for Indigenous Australians.
Just as quick as a click of your fingers, it can happen to anyone at any time.
What would you do if someone close to you was having a seizure?
Imagine if it was your child.
My brother has it. My sister has it.
I have it.
I have it too.
You're not alone.
You're not different. And you have a bright future ahead of you.
So click for kids.
I'm Amy Lee, and I'm part of it.
Had enough of the bad news about carbon dioxide and climate change? Wood is one solution. Trees take CO2 from the air and store it in their wood. They're also renewable, unlike concrete and steel. But the wood you choose should be recycled or from certified plantations or forests. This helps protect areas of high conservation value. So next time you're building or buying something, make it wood and do your world some good.
Hey guys, what'd you like?
Coffee, thanks.
2 coffees, please. What kind of coffee would he like?
Cappuccino.
Cappuccino. What can I get for you?
I'll have a coffee, thanks.
Yeah, 2 coffees, please. Awesome. And what kind of coffee would you like?
Cappuccino, thanks.
2 cappuccinos.
Autism. Change your reactions, change your actions.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
No strangers to the red carpet here on this show, and today we're going to do celebrity shooting, and we're going to try and find some celebrities out there. It's a part of the fun. This is what people do here in Living Out Loud.
And I love listening, watching, breathing, sleeping to Living It Loud. It rocks my world.
Who are you planning on seeing today?
Will.
Oh yeah, and what are you hoping?
Nothing, just to see him.
Nothing?
Photos, yeah.
So you a celebrity spotter?
No, just for Will.
So this is the first one you've done?
No, we went to Planet Hollywood opening a couple of years ago.
Okay, and who did you see there? Will was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Shaq, yeah. Stephen Dorff, yeah.
So you're hoping he'll remember you from last time?
Seriously doubt it.
No? So you got your pen, your cameras, autographs, everything ready? What, you got a bag? What have you got? Okay, CDs. He's got to sign all of those?
Just those two, and photos of Planet Hollywood.
Oh, Planet Hollywood. Look, there he is live. So you are a bit of a celebrity spotter then, really?
Yeah, just for Will.
Yeah, this is what they have to do, brave the cold and brave the elements. We'll try and check out a star, no matter where they're from. Neighbours, who knows? Now, these girls, how long you guys been waiting for?
Since about 4:30.
No way.
Yeah.
So who are you hoping to see?
Will Smith.
Just Will?
Well, I brought my cousin because she asked me to bring her, so...
So what are you going to do when he gets here?
I don't know, wave hello.
Can you scream? Can you all scream? Pretend a Will's coming now. Go on. Go on.
Yeah!
That's it. That's the way you got to get him his attention, you see. Now, how long have you been here for?
About 2 hours.
Only 2 hours.
Only
so
2
is this
hours.
the first time you've done this sort of thing?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So you're not a celebrity spotter, really?
No, not really. First time for me, but I'm looking forward to it.
So you're just walking down the street and thought, what the hell's going on?
That's right, mate.
That's it. I might as well stop, get wet, and hopefully see a star.
That's right.
Well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Where's your camera?
In the bag, mate. Wait.
Oh, you bought the camera, so you are prepared then.
Yeah, prepared.
A bit prepared. Here we are, jam-packed behind the media tent. We're trying to see Will Smith. Did you get yourself in a fight?
No, I broke my hand playing football for Richmond Central.
Only football? Well, you're not a boxer then?
No.
Well, I can see why. You can't even play football properly, but try... maybe you should try boxing.
Yeah.
Things are getting a little mad here. People are screaming. People are pushing everything. We'll try and grab an interview with Will.
When I first started fighting, probably about 2 years ago, I had like no coordination. It was sloppy. It was nasty looking, and it took me probably about 6 months before I started to smooth it out, look good, and look like a real fighter. But we trained for a year. I trained with real fighters and got myself into shape, and I can really rumble a little bit.
And can you punch me in the head right now?
Yeah, you want one?
Yeah, come.
Well, just close your eyes. It's gonna hurt really bad.
It's just getting crazy here. Will. Oh no, we're going to miss him. Try and grab a... Close, but you're not close. You're not Will.
Well, some people think I might be.
Why's that?
Well, the champ is here. I am the champ.
So you're here to see the movie?
Yes.
You together? Is this
we
a
are.
date? Yeah. Do you think he's Will? Do you think he looks like Will?
A little.
A little? Oh, is that why you're with him?
Yes.
Is he a fighter though?
Hey, no, we have charisma.
I
have
don't
charisma.
know.
Well, enjoy the movie, guys.
No problem.
See you in there.
See you later.
They told me about Australia. Thank you all for coming. This film is the show of probably a year and a half of physical training, dialect training, Islamic studies. That Michael Mann put me through everything. He said to me in our first meeting, because I was a little unsure. I actually turned the film down for 5 years. I turned the film down. I couldn't see the road from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to Muhammad Ali. And it's just, now this is a story. It just didn't. I couldn't see it. First, what we were going to do is adapt the entire physical life of Muhammad Ali. We're going to eat what Muhammad Ali ate. We're going to sleep when he slept. We're going to run where he ran. We were going to spar the way that he sparred. We were going to sleep with the women he slept with. Everything. It's to capture the physical life of Muhammad Ali. And from understanding the physical life of Muhammad Ali, we would take the next step into the mental and emotional. And from understanding the physical, when you understand what it's like to stand in a ring, and there's a man on the other side that wants nothing better than to bash your head in. Once you're in that physical space, you'll understand the mental and emotional pressure that Muhammad Ali must have had to endure. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I present to you Ali.
Of course, another premiere. It's all about premieres here. Tonight, Elton John is going to be here up on stage for the Virgin Megastore opening. We're going to check that out because we're doing celebrity watching.
Soon I will be done, I will be done with the troubles of the world, the troubles of the world, the troubles of the world. Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world. I'm going home to live with God.
Up and what an entrance, and here we got Elton John. He's just popped up on the side as well.
Right on! Right on! Thank you very much. That was it. I just want to introduce you to Lynn and you to John. And Danny, we're going to come and say hello. Good. Want to say hello?
Hi everybody! This is really fun. I wasn't sure if I was in Melbourne or Los Angeles.
It's okay.
You know how to put it on a show.
Thank you.
I just want to say I've looked inside, and anybody that's a hip hop, soul, R&B fan, today is the day.
All right, well, I'm happy there. Thanks, everybody.
Who's my old partner is here, and I've been working on that.
Now, how do you find Americans respond to everything that you do over there?
Good. They're lovely.
Why aren't you coming to Australia to do all that as well?
I will. I think I will next year, maybe.
Do you think that's sort of like a great starting point to start over there and see how they take and then bring it to Australia? Or?
I think it could be either way nowadays. I don't think you have to go to America anymore. You can do it here. Yeah.
When are you going to do another song for us? Launching a new one? This year?
Yeah.
Oh, so you've already done it?
Pardon?
Is it in the making or you've...
In the planning.
Planning. Fantastic. We need to see you back out there again. Well, thank you very much. Welcome to Australia.
Thank you very much.
How's it feel to have the Virgin store back in Melbourne?
I suppose the truth is it should never have left, but anyway, at least it's back again, and it's a great night. The staff have done a wonderful job here.
You're always making a grand entrance. That's something that you always do.
I think if you believe in what you do, you might as well make a splash and let people know that you've arrived, and that is fun. It makes people smile, and I enjoy it.
So you've gone pretty far with the whole Virgin Empire. Where can it go to from here? Have you got anything else in the plans? Is it Virgin the world, or it's almost that now anyway, really? What else could you do?
I'd love Virgin to be known to be the most respected brand in the world, and we love just taking on the chance in lots of different fields and trying to stir things up and do things, differently.
You're into stirring up what's going on out there, which is so good, and I think the world needs it too, because in the way that it operates, you're in there just niggling away. You've got Virgin Blue now. You must be very proud of that as well.
Incredibly proud of the whole team that have succeeded in really creating a wonderful airline. The Virgin Mobile team have got the fastest growing mobile phone company, so all in all,
it's huge for that.
Done good.
And we love the fact that now we've got some cheap alternatives to flying. Thanks to you, we can get to Sydney for $77, which is great. Well, have a great launch.
Thank you.
Enjoy it. Thank you. We're chasing Alton at the moment. Sorry?
Hi everybody, this is Olivia Newton-John and you're living it loud.
Now you've got a bit of an American accent there. Will you be practicing your Australian accent?
I can do a good Australian accent.
Okay,
actually.
do that.
Hello, how are you? G'day, mate.
G'day, mate.
Do your act. What? Oh, you know, Dal, put a shrimp on the barbie, you know?
Oh, you have been practicing. And how much fun have you had here today?
I've had a lot of fun. It's been great. And this is a dope party.
So having like Olivia Newton-John as a mum, are you going to pursue a career in television or singing or?
Yeah, actually, I'm making an album at the moment. So.
Does that help though?
What? Does what?
Having a good mum.
Yeah, she's really supportive and I've learned a lot from her. So.
How do you find the industry though? Do they take, do they go, oh, you can get in because who you are, or is it?
No,
they
not
treat
at
you
all.
seriously for what you do?
Definitely. I mean, when you're really going for it, it gets you to a certain point, but when it really counts, you are judged for you, not for who your mom is.
And what are you singing? What's your songs?
They're all different kinds of styles. They're not one particular thing. It's R&B, it's rock, it's pop, it's everything.
I was going to say, you have a bit of an R&B twang to you, and I could see you doing the R&B thing.
Yeah.
You love it so much?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and we don't get much of that down in Australia, really.
Well, you've got Alicia Keys, and you've got,
It's more American thing, which is definitely a good thing. So does that mean you have to get your hair in braids? I reckon.
I'll give
it a get a hair in braids?
Oh, for sure.
What would you do? You'd be the stylist, yeah?
No, yeah, why not?
How did you get to be here?
Good friends.
Just good friends are going to free trip to Australia?
Yeah.
Oh, what a deal. You take your friends everywhere.
Yeah.
Good on you. Well, you can be a makeup artist, you can be the hairstylist, you'll be the roadies. Or you can be you. Anything, anything.
They've got careers of their own.
Okay.
So.
Enjoy them. Well, thanks so much and have a great party. Don't drink too much.
I won't.
No, enjoy. Well, flying out of here.
Well, I like living it loud. What about you?
We are checking out Celebrity Watching, and we've been to a few others, and of course it's the movie premiere of Queen of the Damned, and we're going to check that out now and see what's going on down there. It's a life of star-studded celebrities. Blood is spilt on the carpet. The red carpet, well, it's black with a bit of red, but it's all happening here, and we'll see if we can grab some of the celebrities at the vampire lunch. Oh, excuse me. I suck, don't I?
Kind of a bit, yeah.
So you're a goth as well?
Yes, I am.
Were in the movie?
I was an extra.
What were you doing?
Just standing at the front of the row and screaming for the
How was it
crowd.
to be in the movie?
Excellent, it was
Yeah?
very good.
So how excited are you to be here tonight?
Words can't explain. I've got all butterflies in my stomach.
Really?
Yeah.
It's your debut.
I know.
And what was your line?
Basically, something like that, yeah.
Good idea. There's more PVC than you can... I can't do this. Hang on. I need ones like yours. Now, what are you doing out this time of day?
Well, it's still a little bit light, but...
It is a
yeah.
bit light, so I'm a bit worried about this.
Got the sunscreen on, so...
Oh, okay. Now, you get worried that when you get photos, your eyes got a little red?
Depends on the camera, but it should be okay.
Yeah? So were you in the movie?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
What were you doing?
I was a goth extra and also a vampire extra. So,
Okay. Did you get to buy it?
No, I didn't. I just got to stand there and look menacing, so...
Okay, so how did you get that part? I wonder.
Basically, they the production company sent a few people around to a lot of clubs and approached people and said, look, you know, would you like to be in a film? And most of us laughed, but they went to a club called Abyss.
Like gothic clubs?
Yeah, just a gothic club, yeah.
So you're gothic by day?
Yeah, and night, of course.
Have a look at the queue waiting to get inside.
And I mean, you've done 2 Woody Allen films now. Do you enjoy his style of filmmaking?
Yes.
Stuart, you're starting to play a bit of a villain in your characters. I'm protecting my throat just in case. You getting comfortable with those roles?
Yeah, long way to continue, you know.
Do you like playing a villain?
Yeah. It's much better than playing the nice guys, isn't it?
Why is that?
Everyone prefers the villain. You know?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you think you make a good villain then?
Well, let's hope so, yeah.
If there's anyone I'd want to bite, who would it be? Probably Serge here. I mean, sorry, Serge.
You'll take anything, will you?
No.
That's terrible.
All right.
So, what did you think of the movie since you've seen it before?
I only saw it last week. I mean, again, because I'm an Anne Rice fan, and also obviously with the music side of it, and the fact that Alaya, who is an incredible talent, or was a credible talent, and to see her in this acting role playing the Queen.
Is that hard?
Yeah, it is hard because you suddenly realise what an amazing young talent has just gone now from the world stage, because she truly is, I mean, her performance in it is fantastic. She's very believable, looks amazing, and when you consider the talent that she also had as a recording artist, it's very sad.
And especially you see them on screen, bigger than life and still moving, and how do you relate to that?
It's hard.
Do you close off and just sort of watch it as a movie, or...?
I couldn't actually, because I just felt a sadness there, you know, and obviously it's the role that she plays, because I mean it's returning from literally from the dead and playing this role, and then knowing the reverse now.
Do you think it's in good taste still using her in the movie?
I think you have no option, and I'm sure that her family would have wanted the movie to be released anyhow, because it does show what an incredible talent she has, you know.
Well, thanks so much. You're in the film?
Yeah, I'm a liar.
Yeah, I know you're a liar. She's lying. Now, what are you expecting to see tonight?
I've read the book and it's absolutely fantastic. So
you don't have your fangs in.
No, I don't have my fangs. I've come straight from Ramsay Street, so it's not quite appropriate.
Is that why you're looking a little pale?
Yes, exactly.
Getting in the mood?
Exactly. Very much in the mood for the movie. I'm just ashamed I didn't get a chance to go home and get frocked up like everyone else. At least.
Oh, look, you look great. You got the black on. That's the main thing.
Yes, of course.
You've rated the dog collar.
Yeah.
Or dog. Yeah. Whose dog?
Bob the dog, of course.
The dog.
Yes.
Now, are you a fan of horror movies?
I am. Well, I'm a bit.
Do you scream?
I don't scream. I just sort of renders me breathless.
Oh, come on, give us your best screamer.
No,
he's laughing. I think he knows what you sound like screaming. Anyway, have a great night and enjoy it. Thanks.
Make me famous. G'day, Melbourne. I thought I was nervous doing the concert scene, but this is way worse. So guys, I'm going to keep it short, okay? Don't worry. I managed to work with a really amazing woman who sadly can't be with us tonight, but she's here with us in spirit, so, you know, that's what we're doing this for. I hope there's loads of cast and crew out there, you know, just to say thank you to everyone. Yeah, I hope he's here as well. Mike, are you here? No, don't come on, actually. Michael. Amazing, your support and most of your patience. Cheers. Thank you. Hope you enjoy the film.
We're here at the 50th Film Festival. That's right, about half my age. Sure. Anyway, people are pouring in here. It's because it's pouring outside, pouring rain. Every time I seem to do a premiere, it seems to be raining for some reason. So we're just packing them in and moving them in by droves. Show's starting next week.
Yes, very exciting.
Yeah, what's happening this season?
We've been on there for a year.
I was going to say, what's happened? Why?
Oh, look.
You're asking too much money again.
Oh, I wish. It's just the way it panned out with the network. It happened last season as well. You know, Waterats sort of moved into our time slot at the 9:30.
You're in competition with them? Or?
No, we're not. We were actually a good double with them at 8:30 and 9:30, and so once that moved up, we were kind of without a place. So
what do you do when you're not, when you're off air? You just sit around? Or?
No, you just keep working. We've all
just
finished.
filming?
We're on holidays. So
now you're on holiday?
We're all on holidays.
Now you're coming to a premiere like this?
Yeah.
You're not in any of these movies?
No.
Why not?
I know, why not?
And is this your strapping chaperone?
This is my husband.
Your husband? Oh. You got a good deal, didn't you?
I did very well.
Just getting a little crazy here. We've got Morgan Freeman here from Hollywood, big star. I'm sorry to disturb you. How are you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Good. What brings you here tonight? This is a big night for you.
This is Nurse Betty is appearing here.
Oh, okay. So what brings you to Australia in general?
I'm doing a promotional tour for Along Came a Spider.
Along Came a Spider. And when you play a villain or?
No, I play a policeman.
A policeman? Yeah. Like the role. Now, this is your lovely wife here behind you?
Yeah, this is my
Yes,
wife.
and how are you doing down here? You're living in the limelight back here, aren't you?
In the shadow.
In the shadow. So close to Hugh, I can almost touch him with my fingertips, and behind him is John Travolta, not too far behind. They're just doing what we call media row, so they're just going from one to another and talking all about their movie.
You're in a nice shade. Red.
Yeah, how are you going?
Good, mate.
How's it feel to be back in Melbourne weather?
Perfect. This is what it's meant to be.
We totally planned this for you guys.
Thank you, mate.
How are you coping with the new stardom?
Well, on nights like tonight, it kind of, well, it's a little surreal, a little overwhelming and terrific to get the recognition, but most of my day-to-day life, you know what, with Deb is baby, normal day-to-day life. So it feels...
Do you think it's taken a long time to get to this stage?
Oh, yeah, 10 years.
So that's nothing, though.
Yeah, it is nothing, but it's not quite overnight.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
So how's things going with your career?
Things are really good. I got the Soul Kitchen, I've got a band, my album comes out soon.
How do you fit it all in?
I don't know, I like to be busy. Actually, my clairvoyant said I was going to be busy and I thought she was cracking jokes.
Yeah.
She's not joking.
No. So when is there time for yourself? What do you do when you have time for yourself? You don't know what to do you?
I'm such a vegetable.
Yeah.
I laugh because I'm so not a pop star. I sit on the couch and watch Jerry Springer.
Oh, with a pack of chips and So you're a bit of a trailer trash, are you?
I went to a box of shapes the other day.
Aren't they good? Barbecue? What's your flavour? What's your flavour?
Barbecue.
Barbecue, yeah.
And
I agree.
pizza.
And pizza.
Yeah.
And Jerry Springer. What a combination.
Jerry and
I think we should do that in your next video clip as a scene. What do you reckon?
Oh, yeah, like...
Fluffy slippers.
Yeah, and just going
in a trailer.
White trailer trash.
Yeah, white trailer trash.
I want to be some white trailer trash.
Don't we all? Don't go there, girl. Talk to the hand. Well, enjoy. You're having too much fun.
I am. You're the funnest person I've spoken to.
Thanks so much. Tell us about this show you're doing.
Oh, why?
Why? Why not?
Well, why not indeed?
Well, more so the songs as well. We'll start with the show.
TV, it's all happening, darling. It's all happening. It's finally.
You're a bit of an angel.
It happened to me. I am a bit of an angel. I'm in a show called Undercover Angels for Channel 7.
Who does good deeds for people.
We do good deeds for people. It's a fabulous show. Jackie O, me and Simone, Ian Thorpe, for those of you who love Ian Thorpe.
Yes, well,
Can I just say, he's a darling.
He is.
He's an absolute honey. He's so beautiful.
A bit tall for you.
He is a bit tall for me, and probably won't go there. But anyway, he gave us a little bit of a end of series present. He bought us all an outfit.
Oh no! What have you got?
What better?
Pair of togs.
What better present to get any woman than clothes? Can I just say, Ian Thorpe, love your work. You're doing well.
Now you're singing. Finally, we get to hear you again. Yes.
Yeah, singing. Have a new single out soon.
Yes.
Well, out on radio now. Called Beautiful.
You wrote it?
I did write it with the guys from Disco Montego. So very groovy, bit of a dance track, bit of a shimmy, bit of a shake.
We like that.
A little bit disco.
I'm going to the States next year and I'm going to study over there.
Study what though? Acting. What, they didn't learn anything from Neighbours?
I learned a little bit.
Say about Neighbours it's really shit and I didn't learn how to act and I have to go to America?
Oh, there's one style of acting, but...
American accent acting.
We're both too busy at home watching Channel 31.
My show, of course.
Of course, absolutely.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Nice to meet you at last,
Thank
Rove.
you.
She's back 9:30.
Oh, you've just totally embarrassed me. That's
Have I? Why? Because you haven't got your American accent?
Yeah, I have.
When I was younger, my dad just took me to a rink because he had done speed skating through his life. I then started to get more involved in skating. When you start skating, you go to just leagues and you start as a recreational skater, and then you build up to the state championships, national championships, and then the stepping stone for Worlds is here at Oceanas. So hopefully next year we have more skaters going to Worlds. I just love the feeling when you're just at your top speed and skating along with your friends, because you get some really good friends over the years that you skate and everyone knows each other. It's just a good skating community to be in.
Went to a skating rink just up the road from my house back in Adelaide. Went there for a session, got hooked on the thing when we went there and kept going out, and they asked us to come to a training session one night. Went there and been doing it ever since. You get in parking lots and you train through winter even when it's cold, but you're doing it because you're loving the sport, you know. And at the end of the day, it comes down when you're racing and you're around the mates that you race with, that's where you want to be, you know.
I got into speed skating as a bit of cross training because I used to do a lot of professional half pipe. So I used to do a lot of tricks and so forth. So I got into speed as a bit of a cross train for that, because the physical demands, you need to be very fit and very strong to be able to speed skate. So it was a good crossover. I guess the cool thing for me was moving away from a subjective environment and just worrying about here's the start, here's the finish, and try and get there as fast as possible. And it was a bit of a refreshing environment for me. Everything sort of starts to slow down a little bit, and you're just waiting for that whistle or that gun to go off, and it's you feel like a curled spring ready to be unleashed. You
got to beat the other guy, you know, you're always trying to push to get harder and harder. Next one is you're trying to, get away from the pain in your legs and the rest of your body you're going through, especially after a long race. And then after that, it's, you're just down to, just pushing yourself to get to that line, and win the race.
The speed is really addictive, and once that starts to sort of come together, then it's like, oh wow, I want to do more of this, and it becomes really, really enjoyable. I guess the way I describe it to my buds is, I get to ride on really cool looking skates that have carbon fibre in them. As soon as you say carbon fibre, everyone starts to look.
The amount of training and diet and just general dedication separates first place to fourth place. That's how close it is. So you have to be really dedicated to be the best. When you get your name called out on the Australian team, it's really good to hear, and it shows all your hard work has paid off. In the future, I want to be in Europe skating on the season called the World Inline Cup and just be the #1 world champion. because I've worked really hard over the years. World champion is my dream goal, and I really want to reach that.
It's just fun. Get out there, you get to go fast, you know, do something different that no one else gets to do, you know, and then you get older, you get better, you go overseas, you get to see the world, you know, you travel and keep doing your sport, you know, it's something you love doing.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV. Live streamed from Echuca each week, MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV. Live streamed from Echuca each week, it's MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
They say there's a chance I could die in a car crash. Maybe even from heart disease. Maybe even skin cancer.
I could die in a work-related accident, or I could die in a fight.
The fact is, the biggest cause of death for men in my age group is suicide.
Please don't let this happen to me.
You can do something. Lifeline believes that suicide is mostly preventable. Help us save lives. Find out what you can do at lifeline.org.au.
MELfeed.video is about to close operations for tonight, but we'll be back with you next Monday evening. In the meantime, here is a selection of programs that will be seen on our next scheduled web stream. You're welcome to visit our website at MELfeed.video for further details of this project. Until next time, from all of us here at MELfeed.video, we wish you a very good night.